Hi everyone, and welcome to another tutorial video from Amanda Saladin. Today we're making the split sleeve tee. This is a nice, lightweight, super easy, summery pattern that you can make for warm weather. I used 5 skeins of this Malabrigo yarn to make the small size, so please refer to the written pattern for yarn amounts for larger sizes. You can use any worsted weight yarn that gets you gauge. I love Malabrigo, so I chose them. And you need a size J hook and just a yarn needle. Okay, to begin this project, we'll start with our starting chain. Now, I've already done my starting chain here, which is 79, instead of making you watch me do 79 chains. And so, this is the smallest size I'm making, and then you're going to double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. So I like to do it to crochet into the back of my chain, so you can see the loops back here. And I'm going to double crochet, I'm going to count these to get to the 5th one right here. And I'm going to work a double crochet. Chain 1 and double crochet in the same chain, okay, right here in the same chain space. And this makes our first V stitch. Okay, you're going to skip the next 2 chains, so count 1, 2, and then you're going to work that same V stitch right here in this chain. So a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in the same chain. You can see the V's are taking shape here. And then you have like a turning chain on the end. So let's try it again. Skip 2 chains, double crochet in the next, chain 1, double crochet in the same space, and continue this all the way until you get to the end. Okay, here we are, our row of V stitches for this first row. And now here I am at the end of my chains. So you can see I have just a few chains left. And I'm going to go ahead and work that same V stitch right here. And then we're going to work a double crochet in this last chain. You can see right here. My chains tend to get a little tight, so there's your last double crochet to finish out row 1. So you've got a nice row of V stitches. You can see. And we're going to work the V stitches to stack on top of each other. So there's my first row. And let's get ready to work row 2. Okay, row 2 is the row you're going to keep repeat for a long time. It's just the same pattern over and over. And so to begin, you're going to start with the chain 3. And then you're going to work a V stitch into the center of this V stitch. So right where that chain 1 space is. So go ahead and see where there's the chain space in the middle of these double crochets. So work a V stitch in there. So go ahead and double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, And you see the V-stitches just stacked right on top of each other. So in every V-stitch, you're going to work it the same way. Right in the center, you're just going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in each V-stitch to the end. Okay, so just continue working these V-stitches all the way across. Okay, and when you work row 2 and you get to the end, you see I have this V-stitch in my last V-stitch, and all the way across, I have them down to my turning chain. So what we do at the end here is that we're going to work a double crochet into the turning chain. Okay, and that is the end of row 2. So you're going to repeat row 2 until it measures 12 inches from the beginning. For me, this was 27 rows to make it 12 inches long. Okay, here are our 27 rows, best I can show you. And you see it's a nice fabric. Works up really pretty. Now we're going to start increasing for our sleeves. We make a slight angle to increase for the sleeves. So we're going to chain 3. And we're going to work a V-stitch in this first double crochet right here, what we just did in the last row. So go ahead and work your double crochet right here in this double crochet instead of the first V-stitch. And this adds 1 V-stitch to the side. So we're increasing 1 V-stitch on each side of it. So go ahead and now just work across like you have been doing with a V-stitch in each V-stitch all the way across, just like normal. My yarn is not cooperating. Okay, continue the V-stitches all the way to the end, and then we'll make 1 more on the other side. Okay, once you've continued them all the way across, I'm here to my last V-stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and work a V-stitch in it. And now you make a V-stitch in the turning chain so that you can also increase 1 on this side. So right here in your turning chain, work your V-stitch in the top of it. Mine are always tight, so I have to kind of like help my hook in there. Okay, now we've increased a V-stitch on each side. And now we're going to turn. And we're going to repeat that last row. So you're going to increase 1 V-stitch on each side for rows 2 through 4. So let's work that again. Chain 3. And then right here in this very first double crochet, you're going to work a V-stitch. And then in your next chain 1 space, so it's going to seem like they're really close together because you can see that that's the V-stitch right there. and you've just double crocheted in the very side of it. But go ahead and work a V-stitch in this chain 1 space. It looks kind of weird for the first few rows, but then it evens out and it looks normal again. We're just increasing right at the underarm area. Now work across like normal with your V-stitches. A V-stitch in every chain 1 space of the V-stitch in the row below. All the way to the end, just like the other rows. So this is working rows 2 through 4 the same way. Make sure you're working the extra V-stitch at the other end as well. So here we are after rows 1 through 4, and they're all, like I said, worked the same. You can see how we have, let me turn it, our increases here, and it's made the underarm area. And now we're ready to work row 5, which we're going to end up chaining and adding the rest of the sleeves. So we're going to chain 19. Okay, now, just like we did at the beginning, we're going to double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. After we get all our chains made. My yarn again. We always wind our balls by hand, and sometimes they don't cooperate the best. So now, double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook, just like we did in the beginning of the body. Which mine is right in there. Oh, forgot to yarn over. Don't you hate when you do that? Like, get it in there and then you, like, I didn't yarn over. Okay, so now let's work our double crochet here. Chain 1 and double crochet in the same chain. So it's just like we did with the start on the first row of the body. Okay, we're starting that same thing. Now we're going to skip the next 2 chains and then work a V-stitch in the next chain. Okay, and again, skip 2, V-stitch in this chain. Okay, so we're continuing that skip 2, V-stitch in the next. Got to find a way not to chain so tightly. Mine always seems to get stuck and I have to like use my fingernail to help it out. Okay, our last V-stitch on this chain. And you'll see there are 2 chains left between this V-stitch and the body. We're just going to skip those 2 chains. Okay, so skip those last 2 and work a V-stitch in this V-stitch right here. It's one of the ones you added on in row 4. So it's right at the edge. So go ahead and V-stitch in here. There we go. You can see it's a little strange right now with the join where the body is joining, but once you get the rest of the rows done, it will work really well. So V-stitch in each, V-stitch across, just like we've been doing. And then we're going to repeat this row one more time for row 6 so that we get the other sleeve. Okay, now we're going to work even in the V-stitch pattern for 12 rows and fasten off. Okay, when you have your front and back done, you're going to use this schematic to help you stitch this together. You're going to see that at the end, each end of the sleeve, you're going to do 1.5 inches, and then depending on the size, you're going to leave a part open, and then come in here 1.5 inches again, and then leave the neckline open. Then you're also going to seam under the arms and down the side seams. Okay, so we're ready to seam it here. And you saw the schematic. You're going to start right here at the turning chains. This is the underarm seam. Now when I lined mine up, because of the way we had to do rows 5 and 6, adding the chains, one is actually a little bit longer than the others, and I flipped one over so that I sewed row 5 of the front to row 6 of the back, and vice versa for the side. So you're going to pull it through like this, and you're just going to get a chain from each side. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab this side and pull it tight, especially at the beginning when you have your tail hanging out. And then I'm going to come over and get the chain from this side. And then I'll go through the double crochet on this side. And then the double crochet on the other side. And so you just keep going back and forth this way. So get some from over here and some from the other side. And you seam up the little shoulder seam areas as shown in the schematic, and then the underarm and side seams using this technique. Back and forth. Okay, now we're ready to work the hem. So join the yarn the right side facing at a side seam. Here is actually my side seam right at this spot. So with that technique that we just discussed, you should be able to get a pretty, slightly invisible hem. So start right here at this chain 1 space beside it. And you're going to join your yarn. And you're going to chain 4, which counts as a double crochet chain 1. And then double crochet in the same space to make a V-stitch. So we're just working V-stitches upside down pretty much from the other ones. So now go to your next chain space and work a V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet in the same space. And again, we'll look at right there, next chain space, work a V-stitch, okay, and continue this all the way around till you come back to this starting chain. Every V-stitch. Okay. So right in there, chain 2 space, all the way around. Okay, when you get all the way around, you can see our turning chain. You're going to join with a slip stitch in the third chain. So you can see 1, 2, 3. I'm going to join right there. Leave the fourth chain open for that chain 1 space. So slip stitch right here. Mine is not cooperating. I said mine tend to be a little tight. Okay, now to get our yarn into the V-stitch, we're going to slip stitch right here in the middle of this V-stitch that we made in the last row. And now we're going to chain 4, which again counts as our double crochet chain 1. And double crochet in the same space. And then we're just going to work again a V-stitch in every V-stitch. So you can see here's our next chain space. Now ignore that. That one kind of looks a little loose, that double crochet there. So make sure you're right in the middle of a V-stitch and work another V-stitch. And when you get to the end, same thing, you'll work a slip stitch in that third chain of your turning chain. Okay, so we'll continue around, working in every V-stitch. And here we are at the end, the 1 V-stitch left. So I'm going to work a V-stitch. And then we'll work that slip stitch in the third chain. So just count up 1, 2, 3, and there you go. Work your slip stitch here. Okay, and that will be for rounds 2 and 3. You'll work them the same. Alright, for round 4, you'll just chain 1. And starting right here in this chain space, you're going to just single crochet all the way around. So single crochet in each double crochet and in each chain space. So round a single crochet here, and you're going to do the same thing on the sleeve edges. You're just going to work single crochet all the way around just to kind of give them a more finished look. Okay, so you see right here, it's just kind of finishing off. You don't have to do this step. And I've had, done one where I left it off from the sleeves and it was fine. But a lot of people prefer a single crochet edge on the end, so you can do that. Just single crochet in each double crochet in each chain space all the way around, and then you will just join with a slip stitch to this first single crochet right here. So once you work your single crochets around the hem and the sleeve edges, you're done. Just make sure that all of your ends are woven in. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Find more than 70 free patterns on my blog at amandasaladin.com, and be sure to subscribe for more video tutorials. Thanks for watching.